Normally, we welcome Janet Sciales into the room with open arms and good news about what's in the stars for us, but today...
Not so much.
Not so much,
yeah,
for sure. Because Mercury is about to go backwards.
It is. And we have the first 3 days, actually we have no time, we need to just start realizing that Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Sagittarius. We're finishing up the last degrees of Scorpio, but because Mercury is in Sagittarius and it's going backwards, and that the Sun enters Sagittarius on Thanksgiving, I thought I would talk about where Mercury is because it'll give you an overview of what you can expect.
Okay.
So, with Mercury in the sign of Sagittarius for Scorpio, it's about money. It's about counting their nickels and dimes. It's about making more money. It's about tightening up their expenditures to really pay a close eye to what is going on with their finances, both earned income and unearned income. And to every Scorpio, I say, check your numbers twice, even 3 times, because you never know with Mercury being retrograde in the house of money. For Sagittarians, Mercury is retrograde in their own sign, so it is a matter of Sagittarians always have to be careful because they have absolutely no filter. The words just fall out of their mouth. And when Mercury is retrograde, it takes the words that fall out of their mouth and the things that they say they end up having to eat down the road. So they have to really be careful to be completely understood in what it is that they're saying. And if I was them, I would put a lot of my things in writing just so I had some sort of proof. For Capricorns, this is a good time to just sit back and be quiet and observe and not make any kind of comments. Sagittarius is the 12th house for Capricorns, and all they can do is hurt their own case. They're much better off remaining silent, and just observing what is going on rather than coming to any kind of a conclusion. And to be prepared to eat their own words eventually. For Aquarians, not so much great time to be an Aquarian. Mercury's in the 11th house, so it means that they're going to be reorganizing their hopes, wishes, goals, and objectives. They'll be working within the group to get a new job, or not a new job, but a new role within the group is what's going to happen for Aquarians. For Pisces, it is in the 10th house of career and public standing. It's a very dangerous placement for Mercury. It's the kind of thing where do not challenge the boss because you're not going to win. It's a good time to sit back and say whatever comes down the pike from above to say, okay, yes. And it's a time for them to be evaluated, so they really want to put on a good show for the powers that be and not simply presume that they're going to know that they did a good job, that kind of a thing. They're going to want to see some sort of tangible evidence of the job that the Pisces is doing.
Gotcha. For
Aries, it's not bad energy for them. Legal matters, educational matters, important matters at a distance. Travel plans may pop up. And Aries, I say, get your passports renewed now before you should already have been in the works. And be careful to make sure that you take your bags with you when you go. And to know that you need to be flexible about being rerouted because it's very likely during that retrograde. For Tauruses, it's in the 8th house of other people's money, other people's resources. Tauruses have to be very careful in dealing with financial things that are going to have oversight involved with them. It's a matter of making sure that the columns all add up, that what you say you took in, you did, what went out, went out. It's just a matter of really good record keeping is important for Tauruses over the next 3 or 4 weeks or so.
As the Christmas wish money comes in.
Yeah, it really is. And it's hard to, to keep track of all that and make sure that you don't commingle funds or do a bunch of stuff that somebody would frown on.
Pat's great at that.
And she needs to be because it's going to be a challenge this time because of the retrograde. For Geminis, Mercury is retrograding in their 7th house of open enemies and partners. And for Geminis everywhere over the next 2 weeks, it's going to be musical partners. It's going to be finding out who's on your side, who's not on your side. The biggest challenge, though, is to not alienate what could be perfectly good allies. And do not create enemies out of what could be perfectly good allies. And once again, younger people are the ones that are likely to cause more trouble for the Gemini than older people because Mercury always says young. For Cancers, this energy is in their 6th house of work, service, and responsibilities. And Cancers are probably going to get more than one job. They're not going to get paid for both of them. It's a good time just to do that job, put a smile on your face, and hopefully at the end of the time that Mercury is direct, then you'll find out that you got a permanent job and money to go along with it. And the other thing for Cancers is the 6th house is the house of health. And they have to be really careful to get a second opinion and maybe even a third opinion before they go doing anything in the medical area to make sure that they get the best result.
Wow.
For Leos, they don't care. This is a great time for Leos. They're going to have a ton of fun with this energy. Mercury's in their 5th house of children, amusement, sports, pleasures, entertainment, anything fun, anything creative is really on the Leo's agenda. They love the holidays for that reason. But there's some creative thing that Leos have been working on for a while, perhaps almost as long as 2 years, and it comes to be indirectly over the next 3 weeks as a result, believe it or not, of this retrograde. Something they've been waiting to change or something they've been waiting to happen comes during this retrograde.
Wow,
and they end up really happy about it.
Good news for me.
Yeah, I know. Kind of nice. I'm glad I'm your friend because not so much for me.
Good. We won't throw you out this week.
For Virgos, it's in our 4th house of home foundations and responsibilities, and they are with fits and starts trying to deal with some sort of matter at home, and they need to get really good information before doing it. And if you're going to remodel or refurbish or knock down walls or do any of that, please wait for the Mercury to go direct because it'll just end up being a giant mess if you try and start it now. And then for Libra, the last sign, the pace of their day-to-day living is about to pick up, and their big challenge is to not backtrack during this retrograde, and to make sure. And they're going to be playing catch-up a lot, so it's a really good time to get a speeding ticket because it's just that type of energy where you won't be able to talk your way out of something. So it's a good time to do the research yourself just to be sure, and don't take Andrew what somebody else says as fact until you have checked it out yourself. So tomorrow's news today for the 12 signs of the zodiac. So we have Mercury retrograde, the sun going into Sagittarius on Thanksgiving, and then a full moon on Friday. So big week.
Woo! Well, it wasn't as bad as I
No,
anticipated.
it could have been. Mercury, Mercury retrograding in the mutable signs, not nearly as bad as when it retrogrades in the fixed or the cardinal signs. So it could be worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, that wasn't bad news. We'll let you come back next week.
Yay! Always a pleasure.